Shalom everybody, and welcome back with insights in the Parsha of the week, Parshat Lech Lecha, based on the teachings of Rabbi Nachman. We continue with this amazing theme of the concept of the exchanged chambers, where things in life are messed up, are mixed up, purposely done by the side of evil, and the mix-up is that the evil takes holiness, takes potential good of a person and keeps it trapped in its domain. And the job of a person is to extract it. Rabbi Nachman teaches your way to extract is by forcing yourself to be happy and strong, using other means until what was taken from you is brought back, and then you can be genuinely happy with that light and energy and holiness that you've gotten back to you. This was a theme we saw in Noach, like we explained in last week's Parsha. And this theme continues in this week's Parsha. We see Avraham Avinu had many tests regarding the chamber of exchanges. First of all, Hashem tells him, Lech Lecha. He wants him to go to the Holy Land, to go further into the Holy Land. He already left his hometown, and he went up to with Terach to Haran, his father. But then Hashem said, you have to go further. You have to enter the Holy Land. They say, the commentaries, Lech Lecha, go Lecha. Lecha is Gematria 50. Lamed 30, Chaf 20, that's 15. That Hashem was inspiring Avraham Avinu. I want you to reach the 50th level, the 50th gate, which is a term used for the highest levels of holiness. I want you to access, to go to the highest levels of holiness. And Rabbi Nachman teaches halicha, walking, is an expression that a person has joy. Because when a person is depressed and sad, they have lethargy and they don't move around. They're stagnant, they're in their couch, they're in their bed. Halicha, when a person walks, it's a sign that he's happy. He's happy in life and he's doing things. So Hashem is telling Avraham Avinu, I want you to go, use your power of halicha, which means that you are enthusiastic, you're positive, you want to advance in life. So now use your ability to walk to go to Lecha, to the 50th level. The 50th gate, which is, like we said, the highest level. So in order to do that, Avraham Avinu had to extract holiness, which was dutifully belonging to him, to extract it from the deepest places of impurity, which they were thrown there because of the exchange, of the chamber of exchanges, where they took the potential of Avraham Avinu, who was born from a major idol worshiper, and he had to break free from such a negative upbringing of idol worship and idolatry and crazy philosophies based on that ideology of idolatry, to break away from that and to come to truth. So in this process, a lot was taken from him in order to put him in that scenario. Okay, it's understood that that's his mission in life, but the setup of the chamber of exchanges, of the evil forces to take away what dutifully belonged to Avraham Avinu, that's a test. Okay, and they're to blame for that happening. So we see in this week's Parsha the many situations, a few situations, where Avraham Avinu is forced to go into a domain of impurity in order to extract holiness. The beginning of the Parsha, Avraham Avinu just walks into Eretz Yisrael. Hashem says, I want you to walk the land. To walk. I want your feet with your simcha to tread upon the majority of the land of Israel, to go through the land, and that way to gain a connection to the holiness of the Holy Land. He just got there, and then Hashem sends Ra'av, a famine. And he has to go down to Egypt. Go down to Egypt, a place of major immorality. Like Rashi says, that the Egyptians then were shtufei zima, full of immorality, low-class people. And Avraham Avinu's wife was exceptionally beautiful. Sarai was very beautiful. That's why she was called Sarai, because she was like a queen, a princess, like a Sarah, minister. And in a physical term and in a spiritual term. She was really at a high level, and also in beauty. She surpassed everybody. Unbelievable. So Avraham Avinu saw that they're going to a danger zone, so he had to hide Sarah. It didn't work. He tried to get in without having Sarah exposed. But no, the evil forces using the Egyptians, the tax, the border guards, they opened what's in this chest, what's here, until they discovered Sarah. And he said, "This is my sister," and he hid her because she's pretty. And they, the Egyptian guards, said, "This is fitting. She's fitting for Paro." They brought her to the castle of Paro, the palace, and she started ordering the angels not to let them touch her, and also to inflict them with all types of diseases, which are sexually related, so that Pharaoh shouldn't touch her. And then, like we saw, the Pharaoh said to Avram, "Why did you lie to me? Why did you tell me that she's your wife?" It's because I was afraid you guys are really, this is a bad place of immorality, and I was scared you guys would kill me, take my wife. So the whole section ends that Pharaoh sent them, "Go with your wife, go back, leave, don't stay in Egypt." And he gave him a lot of gifts. It says in the Parsha, gave him donkeys and cows and susim and a lot of wealth. So they say this wealth that Avraham Avinu came back with was really holy sparks that he succeeded in extracting by going down to Egypt. Hashem sent the famine in order that Avraham Avinu should, yes, go down to Egypt, in order to extract holy sparks stuck there that only he can free and that belong to him. That's the idea that the Parsha says that he got all these gifts. Because if that's the case, why is the Parsha telling us? What do we care what Pharaoh gave to Avraham Avinu? To teach us that this is the goodness, the holy sparks in all of these gifts, in all this wealth that Avraham Avinu came back from Egypt with, was holy sparks that Avraham Avinu succeeded to extract. But it came at a cost, it came at a price, that he had to be tested with a place of low immorality, and Sarai had to be the quote-unquote sacrifice, the bait on the fishing rod in order to extract. In the end, nobody got hurt, but this was a test in order to bring Avraham Avinu to his true potential. And this happened with him extracting. The next situation we have in the Parsha is with Lot. Lot started to really show that he wants to go the wrong way in life. And Avraham Avinu says, "We can't stay together anymore, but I will always be available for it to help you. So wherever you go, I will be close by." And that's what happened. That the king of Sodom, rebelled against Nimrod, right? And the other four kings. And there was a big war, and Sodom was defeated. The king of Sodom was taken captive, and along with all the people, including Lot, and all of his wealth. Avraham Avinu goes to run, to save Lot from Nimrod and all these evil kings, and he succeeds. And Sodom says, "You can take, just give me the souls, take all the money and the wealth." Avraham says, I don't want the wealth." Why did Avraham do this? For Lot, like Rashi says. And why would Avraham Avinu stick out his neck for Lot? You see, Lot is such a bad person. He's immoral. He moved to Sodom out of immorality, out of bad desires, of worldly, wicked intentions. Why, Avraham Avinu, are you sticking your neck for him? Because like Rashi says many times, there's a holy spark stuck in Lot's descendants. In Moab, the descendants of Lot, eventually Ruth, and from Ruth comes King David. And Avraham Avinu foresaw that holy spark stuck in such immorality, a daughter having relations with her father, and that's producing the nation Moab from my father. And from such a low situation, a low scenario, comes David HaMelech. The answer is yes. That from such low places, there are holy sparks to be extracted. That was the main reason and the only reason why Avraham Avinu went to fight against the four kings, to save Lot. And that's what he did. So here again, extraction was needed. Again, going into the chamber of exchanges, Lot being so evil, so bad, and yet from him, there stuck a holy spark of Ruth the convert, who will be destined to be the ancestor of David HaMelech, and that's what Avraham Avinu had to extract by saving Lot. And then, afterwards, the whole incident with Avraham marrying Hagar and having Ishmael. What did Sarah say? Okay, you can't be built through me because I'm barren, so at least take my midwife, and maybe ulai ibane mimena, maybe I'll be built from her. The question is, what in the world? What are you sending Avraham Avinu, such a tzaddik, to have relations with your maidservant? And maybe you'll be built from that. What's the idea? And what comes from this relationship? Ishmael. Until today, we're having difficulties with Ishmael's descendants. Well, what in the world? Because again, There's a holiness stuck in that domain, in that area. And Avraham Avinu had to have relations with the maidservant to bring forth Ishmael. And this act of having Ishmael is what triggered that Sarah would also be blessed to have a son. That she broke her relationship with Avraham Avinu to allow another woman in the life of Avraham Avinu, Hagar, the Mitzri. Okay, Mitzi, also Egyptian, coming from a place of immorality. But she had to shape up to be fit to be with Avraham Avinu, and she did that. That's why she became a maidservant. She also saw angels, so she was at a high level. But still, Avraham Avinu, to go to a maidservant to extract, again, is the concept of the chamber of exchanges, and him needing to have Ishmael to come out, and Ishmael having some points of good, which would eventually trigger for the allowing of the birth of Yitzchak into the world. Right? They say that why Ishmael has such a merit, because of the Brit Milah, because they do circumcision. That's the thing that they have today, and that's due to him being the son of Avraham Avinu. Okay? And then we see, B'ezrat Hashem, that the Parsha ends with these ideas. Also, we have the before this, the pack of the halves, Brit Ben HaBetarim, where Hashem makes an oath with Avraham Avinu. He's going to have the land, the Holy Land, and also he's going to have children. And in this oath, Hashem tells Avraham Avinu, but you should know that the fourth generation will descend to Egypt, descend into exile, and they'll be purged and suffered. But then when they come out, Yetzu Berchush Gadol, they come out with tremendous wealth. Avraham Avinu is informed that his descendants will again have to go into the domain of evil, the chamber of exchanges, in order to extract, which would be after the leaving of the exile of Egypt, to extract all the holiness that was stuck there, to bring it out until, like Rashi says, they'll be left kimtsula she'en badagim, like a river that there's no fish anymore. There's nothing there. That's what the Jews did when they left Egypt. They took with them all the remaining sparks that Avraham Avinu didn't take, that were still stuck there, they took out. But this Hashem told Avraham Avinu is what's going to happen with his descendants. So we see again and again, and this being also part of life, that a person is thrown into negative scenarios, negative places, by many people, negative upbringing. You know, Hashem, why did you put me in such an upside down family? Why don't you raise me religious and to be from and everything? Why did I have to come from such an upside down family and to work my way up? Why did I have to come from such a Gentile surrounding and have to convert? All these situations is because of the chamber of exchanges, that the good is swapped. The only way to win is to be besimcha. Avraham Avinu, in this whole parsha, he's called Avram, without the hey. Only at the end, Hashem tells him, when you will do the circumcision, you will now be called Avraham, and Sarai will become Sarah. Rav Nosson explains, this hey of Avraham corresponds to the 5 sounds, the 5 kolot of simcha. When we say, like in the bracha of Sheva Brachot, which is taken from a verse, Kol sason ve'kol simcha, kol chatan ve'kol kala, kol ormim hodul Hashem. There's a verse. The last 5th one is a voice saying, thanking Hashem. These are called the 5 voices of joy. Okay. By the way, when a person laughs, they say ha ha ha. They say the letter hey. So letter hey, number 5, is associated with joy. It's lashon simcha. So Avraham got a hey after passing all these tests of the chamber of exchanges, which shows retroactively that he wasn't afraid. He wasn't afraid to go down to Egypt. He wasn't afraid, before that, to leave the Eretz Yisrael to go down to Egypt. He wasn't afraid to face the 4 kings, as powerful as they were. He wasn't afraid to marry Hagar, to have relations with Hagar to bring forth Ishmael. He wasn't afraid of all these things. Also the pack of the halves, with the notification from Hashem what's going to be of the future exile of his 4th generation. Of all these things, he wasn't afraid. Why? Because he knew that this is part of the process of coming to his potential. And what's needed for all this, to pass all of this successfully, was a positive attitude, which he did. He showed that he had a positive attitude. That's why Hashem told him, Lech Lecha, go. You can walk. You have the power to walk. You're a happy person. You're enthusiastic. You're positive. You're looking for the truth. So you have this blessing that I want to bring out you. I want to bring you to the potential to reach the 50th level. You have to go through all these tests. The main thing is not to become afraid. Like Rabbi Nachman said and emphasized, that life is a very narrow bridge. Narrow meaning that you're walking and there's like a pit, a giant pit in a valley to the left and to the right, and you have to hold on and not to be afraid. You're gonna make it through whatever you're going through in life, but just don't become afraid. Be strong. The only way though you can not be afraid and be strong is if you have some modicum of a positive attitude, an attitude connected to simcha. Avraham Avinu passed these tests. He gained, with the circumcision, he gained the hay of simcha, of joy, because he showed that he can successfully go through the chamber of exchanges and extract that shows that he has potential simcha, he has a positive attitude, so then he gains the actual letter hay, which means he got back that which was taken from him, and it was all restored to him, and thus his name became Avraham, with this hay of the simcha to show that he extracted. May we be zoche to use this lesson in our lives, and to be positive, and not to break down when faced with major tests of frustration, of feeling lost and feeling no hope. May we just hold on, do what we're supposed to do, and be as positive as much as possible in order to extract what's truly ours, and thus come to our completion. Bezat Hashem. Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat Shalom.